Residents are fearful amid rash of homicides. 8-year-old boy fatally shot in the head. Police say mobs gathered around officers when responding to calls. Maryland sheriff says cops have been eviscerated, disemboweled. And what they're doing is intimidating the police ahead of summer for what is undoubtedly now a basically leftist/communist style movement to then basically destabilize the country and then demand executive action for increased taxes on the, quote, rich, that will actually be increased taxes on middle class and working class to further stall the economy, which is the Cloward and Piven plan to bring down the nation. There is now no doubt that socialist and race-baiting and paramilitary-style communist groups are being activated, that have been bred and funded and coddled and basically brewed at these universities, are now just being turned loose. Young black activists are being bussed in from all over the country who are angry and in many cases, have legitimate issues with problems with the police, but they themselves are being used. I don't know if the system is going to be successful. I don't know if the system is going to get away with this. I don't know if this is their main plan this summer so that Obama can smokescreen a whole bunch of other executive actions. You've got bizarre economic developments taking place, very, very troubling. You've got massive over-the-top military developments taking place, extremely serious. Redlining when it comes to the danger zone. We've got just huge cultural revolution pushes to openly declare Christians criminals, to openly declare gun owners criminals, to openly declare free speech criminal, a complete coming out of the closet of the totalitarian left, the fascist left, as Ted Cruz calls them. You've got America being conquered by the TPP that ties in contractually with the NAU and the EU, the North American Union and European Union, power grabbing over free speech on the internet, power grabbing over the power structure and the infrastructure, power grabbing over all water rights, power grabbing, shutting down the border, power grabbing, federalizing police. Just this is the major assault. This is the New World Order takeover. There is no doubt it is intense. And I got to say it, I'm getting chills. I am. I've got huge chill bumps right now because it is just epic. I've got a big vocabulary, but the word is epic. It is epic, epic, epic to be watching this happen right now. And this is just the power grab, the horrible poverty, the horrible police state, the horrible degradation, the elite above the law, the diplomatic community, the death squads, the kidnappings, the criminal mobs, the fall. America's going to be just like Mexico, just like Chile. Chile, again, just 60 years ago, was richer than any other country except for Switzerland. There was a saying 100 years ago, as rich as an Argentine, because they had their own country, their own economy, their own infrastructure, their own giant middle class, as rich as an Argentine. I remember reading in 2000, the Washington Post, when they'd been in a depression for a year, when they manipulated their currency, and foreign banks had come in and taken over and plunged the economy on purpose to consolidate power. That came out in IMF documents, World Bank documents jointly. 2 years later, Joseph Stiglitz went public, Nobel Prize winner for economics. And it described a trailer full of cows tumping over outside their capital city, and middle-class families with their torn clothing like something out of Armageddon, fighting and cutting globulets of meat off with knives, and men, women, and children just gobbling meat on the side of the road like vultures. Ted Anderson went there a few years ago, and he said you'd see good-looking middle-class families living in doorways. You'd see doctors, living on the street. And that's what bondage is. And the globalists live offshore. They own their water. They own their infrastructure. They own their government. They own their mines. They own their fields. They own their agriculture. They went from being the freest people in this hemisphere to being slaves. And that is the journey we're now on. That is the journey we're now on. So I hope you enjoy it, everybody. You know, that said, I've got literally every day gets more intense. The news is over the top. I'm going to read just some of the stack headlines here in a moment so you know what's coming up. But let me first say this. There's a video up on Infowars.com that's also on the left-hand side of DrudgeReport.com. Video, some Americans think TPP is a brand of toilet paper. No one has a clue about the Trans-Pacific Partnership. I'm going to send my son out today, Rex Jones. And he's going to basically duplicate this report to see if people are as dumbed down in Austin, Texas. I guarantee you, if I send Rex, it's summer now, so he'll be here a lot during the week working with us at 12. I'm going to send him today to the University of Texas and the downtown trendy area by the pedestrian bridge. And then next week, I'm going to send him to a working class industrial district. And I guarantee you now that for every 10 people we talk to in the trendy area, maybe one will know what the TPP is. And I bet money when we talk to working class people that actually pay bills and live in the real world, I bet a third of them know what the TPP is. It's the educated idiots that don't know how to find their butt with both hands. Getting their second or third degree to go get jobs that don't even exist now. And then you got the trendies, you know, wearing their hipster outfits, and you look at them and all they've got is this dumb stare, and they think it's funny. They don't know what anything is. But is it really their fault? Because the mainstream media will not cover it. Some newspapers are covering it, and to their credit, it's so draconian that even mainline leftists and mainline conservatives and libertarians are the ones leading the charge, constitutionalists, are out saying it's draconian, it's totalitarian, it's secret, it power grabs everything, but it's not a foreign army in uniforms conquering us, so we don't get upset. Folks get upset if some commie burns an American flag, and sure, I don't like it, but they're burning the actual liberty that the flag symbolizes. We're being conquered, and then everything that comes with it. And it's because freedom produced so much incredible prosperity that it turned us into dumbed-down, spoiled rats. Had a Freudian slip there. On average, myself included. Listen, I get it. I get wanting to watch movies, wanting to go see rock concerts, wanting to go to a football game, wanting to drink a bunch of beer, wanting to eat a big steak, wanting to not care about this stuff, wanting to go play golf, wanting to go shooting, wanting to go play laser tag or whatever with my kids. I get it, but here's the deal. We're going to lose everything now if we don't turn this around. And when things melt down finally, it is going to be like a hydrogen bomb going off politically. 101 million people of 325 million on food assistance. In the Great Depression, they had like 5 million people in soup lines at one time. We got 101 million people in digital soup lines. And it's all been designed, and not just our opinion that dependency's been designed. The globalists are on record admitting they're trying to domesticate us and get us into this position. So, what we need to get down to here at the final equation is we're in deep you-know-what. And I, for one, have tried to make preparations individually for it, but I've also tried to alert and warn others so that we can try to do something about this, because it's off the charts. And it's worldwide. It's a worldwide corporate system of dumbing the public down, of changing words, of deceiving, of mesmerizing, of bamboozling. and then just rolling in with a takeover. And the globalists sit in Switzerland and Luxembourg and London and Grand Cayman and a few dozen other places, basically semi-immune from all this. And until they're not immune from it, none of us are safe. I mean, they don't care if they wrecked Chile or other prosperous nations. In fact, they love it. They don't want independent money out there, independent wealth. They don't want you doing well. They want to have you poor so they can buy you for cheap and do whatever they want with you. It's about power. I'm going to come back, just hit the headlines themselves, but I was at the gym this morning, and Rodney Ellis and somebody Martinez, I need to look up the different state reps named Martinez, and I'll recognize his face. They were both from South Texas. One of them is a powerful Democrat. And they come in, and Ellis pokes me in the back, goes, "Hey, Alex." Knows who I am. I know who he is. They get on elliptical machines beside me, and I sit there and I listen to them. And it was Twilight Zone. How about the CIA and the North American Union and Stratford and all this stuff? And they weren't showing off for me. They were just having their discussion. I'll tell you about that coming up, too. But, I mean, we're in so much trouble. I can't even begin to tell you. Logic. Then it all makes sense. And it was Senator Rodney Ellis. I come into town, go to a gym close to the office. The legislature's in session. I routinely see state reps in there, but Senator Rodney Ellis was in there. And he comes in and taps on my shoulder and says hi. And I've run into him a couple times before downtown. And he had Representative Martinez with him. And for some reason, when it shows Representative Martinez's bio on the House of Representatives, it doesn't show his first name. What is it? I need that info, please. The point is that I can't get away from this stuff. And they weren't saying all this stuff to mess with me. They were having a real discussion because the only ellipticals open were right beside me. And then the others were full and the treadmills were full. So the only two full ones are right here. I'm sitting there listening to music.
It's Trey.
And Representative Trey Martinez, and powerful state senator, he's on a bunch of committees and chairs the UT Maine Law School and the rest of it. Senator Rodney Ellis comes over, and so I take my headphones off and I start listening to them. And they don't care, and they're not showing off for me. These are busy guys while the session's in, and they start talking about Stratford, which is this private CIA front based here in Austin, Texas, that has this Dr. Friedman that heads it up. It's been around for like 20 years, and they just basically take Pentagon and CIA propaganda and regurgitate it back out. Some of it's accurate, some of it's not. WikiLeaks got their stuff, and it was like, we got to discredit Alex Jones and all this stuff. And the way they did that was have their operatives come out and say that I work for Stratford. That's a classic cognitive infiltration trick. But I'm not starting a fight with these people. I just want to try to fix the country. But that said, the stuff that came out in the emails is just a bunch of gossip. And I'm sitting there. It's kind of like the DPS put out a report in Fox News that the Black Widow gang is planning to kill law enforcement. There's no motorcycle gang ever. I did a LexisNexis search called the Black Widows, except in a 1977 film and then 3 subsequent, the last in 1980, Every Which Way But Loose with Clint Eastwood. It doesn't exist. It's a joke. And that came out of the DPS intelligence. And guess who feeds DPS intelligence most of their baloney? Stratford. And so I'm sitting there listening to these two. I'm going to come back and cover all the other news in a moment, but I'll just cover this now. This is how I can't get away from this stuff. So I'm sitting there listening to Van Halen or whatever, trying to work out. Tap, tap, tap. Hey, Alex, hey, what are you doing? Hey, working out, good job. Hey, Senator Ellis. Hey, buddy, how you doing? So I stopped listening to music. I started listening to the two for about 15 minutes till I got off and worked out. Anybody can walk up to them and ask them. They both sitting there talking about it. Well, yeah, Stratford is advising the DPS on those issues and blah, blah, blah. And I wasn't listening to all of it. Yeah.